Okay, hello everybody, Andrew Maguire here. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on front elevations or the front shots of property photography and what they should look like really. I mean, maybe you're interested or you're actually working for a company who are asking you to do certain things and you think, well, actually that doesn't look very good. And I just want to give you a few ideas of what I think it should look like and common little problems that you'll come up against and how you can improve them. So I've just got 4 pictures here of the same house that I did this morning over in Northfield, a lovely 4-bedroom house, and I wanted to show you some examples of bad or how you can quite easily improve front shots. Right, so we'll start with this one. So first and foremost, luckily, it was a very sunny morning, so we've got a blue sky. Normally, I would be inserting a blue sky anyway, but on this case, I didn't have to. So with this one, what's wrong with that? Well, it's not too bad. I mean, I haven't done any editing to it at all. As you can see, I've taken that at eye level. So that is probably just a little below eye level. That's probably about chest height. And it looks all right, doesn't it? It makes the place look fairly grand. But it's not setting the world alight. And another good thing about raising the camera in the air via the tripod is that you get to see a little bit of the plot of the house behind that gate that you can see here, the brown gate. So you can see almost where the house goes, what shape it is to the rear. So always try and lift your camera in the air. The higher the better. What I do is extend the tripod until it's fully extended, and then I literally raise it in the air and I have it on a HDR setting, and it takes 3 very quick exposures, and I normally take the best one of the 3, or if needs be, I'll blend them all together for a HDR exposure. So moving on to the next one, as you can see, what I've done here, I've literally raised the camera in the air. Now, my perspective here, as you can see, if you look at the foreground, I'm fairly close and I'm looking down. So at this point, I'm quite wide. I don't know what my settings are. They're probably around about 12 or 13 mil. Now, I was using a 10 to 20 Sigma. Now, I'd never really recommend shooting a house from its front wide angle. It looks a little bit cheap. If you look at estate agents' boards, the rubbish ones will have photos at wide angle and the best ones will not. So if you can, always zoom in and walk back. Now, a problem is, as you can see, the sun was right behind me, which is great for the photo, but as you can see on the right here, I've got my little shadow in. So bear that in mind. Always have a look at your photo back when you're there. Take way more than you probably need, and you probably will be able to eradicate that. Now, it's not the end of the world. You can probably remove that in Photoshop or Lightroom, but at the end of the day, you want to really not mess about with property photography. You want to do as little as possible to every photo. Now, here's another idea. Now, that's not bad either. That is acceptable if I did a little bit of an edit on them, because first of all, you can see it's not straight. Now, what I would always recommend is, even though you might look at those verticals and think, well, they're all pointing north, they're all vertical, but whenever you have a house, you need it to lean back into the frame. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you just hit your crop tool and just rotate it slightly to the left, you'll see it looks like it's leaning back, but that looks straighter, that looks more true, doesn't it? So that's where it was. I know I can't do that, can I? Because I've pressed the wrong button. Basically, I haven't done much of a change to it, but what I would always recommend doing is, because I'm in the collections module, that's why it's not showing up as any different. Always rotate it inwards on itself, so there's a slight lean, but nothing too offensive. Because sometimes when all your verticals are pointing north, yeah, that can look great, but it can make it look a little bit wonky. So just point it into the frame, and you should be fine. Now, another thing I want to mention here is the wheelie bins. You've got to get rid of those wheelie bins. Now, if you want to do that in Photoshop, then that's your prerogative. But my advice would be just get rid of them, literally move them by hand. Because if you don't, I mean, that is like a 10-minute job in Photoshop, or 5-10 minutes, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to have quite a lot of other photos to edit. So you don't want to be messing about with that. So just move them, and just ask the vendor if they don't mind. I'm just going to move your wheelie bins, and I'll move them straight back. And obviously don't move them into the road, because obviously cars will be coming, that sort of thing. So just use your common sense a little bit. But angle-wise, you can see what the house is, and you can see, you know, the front part of the house does jut out quite a lot. That's nice. You can see the size of the house, and we get a nice idea of the space of the drive. But looking back to the other angle, it's much better because you get to see it in a 3D perspective. Now, always shoot with a 3D perspective, which brings me on to my edited one. Now, this has gone through a bit of an edit. Now, the most important thing is the actual, you know, the actual living space rather than the driveway, because you can cover that in another photo. So don't be scared to chop out a little bit. Now, what I've done, I've literally walked back a few yards, stuck it right in the air, and I've zoomed in as far as I can on my 10-20, so I'm not wide anymore. I'm at a 20mm length, which means my verticals will be pretty good, and they won't be too, I won't have to crop too much out. It won't look too crazy. Because sometimes when you correct a wide angle shot, if it's super wide, you're going to have to lose lots of information from your photo, because so much of it will be unusable because your angles are so wide that it's no good. So always shoot as literally step back and zoom in whenever you can. Now, what I've done is I've increased the saturation, as you can probably see with the sky and the green grass. I've enhanced the clarity a fair bit as well, just to bring out the brickwork and make it pop a little bit. I have maybe just increased the exposure slightly and also altered the contrast. Now, as you can see with my sliders here on the right, that's all I've done. And one final thing, you've really got to get over yourself here. You've just got to use that sharpening tool and slide it right up. Now, remember, these aren't going into art exhibitions. You're not entering a competition. So this is literally going for print, and it's going to be on shop windows. So the more that this can grab people as they walk past, the better your estate agent will be happy with it. So really, if that's where the sharpening was, that was normal. But if you really just smash it up to its full potential, then it really will pop. I know you might not be happy with that because you might think it might not look very good. But if you put the a little bit of noise reduction on it as well, because you can see in shaded areas you might sort of create quite a noisy shadowy area. So if we just get that noise reduction, and we'll just stick it up to, let's just stick it up to 10, that should be fine. So that is how to shoot a front elevation, and I hope you've learned something. And please feel free to check out my website, which is www.andrewmaguire.co.uk. I'm always writing a blog, so check out the blog too. Like, comment, and please subscribe, and there'll be more videos coming soon. So thanks for watching. Cheers.